All right, we're a go. We are live. Welcome everybody to my live stream with Kerbalism. Why don't we just get right off the bat and go about what the goal will be. I'll get into the VAB and I'll show you, but somewhere along here I did pick up the SCANsat. That's another mod. Now I don't know where they are. Anyway, I saw them in the VAB. Why don't we go there? There we go. And in science here we have the SCANsat. Oh my gosh, the SCANsat scanners. There is the multispectral scanner, which is used for mapping biomes. There it is right there. And I also have the radar altimeter. And these are the low-res ones. You get higher-res ones later on. And so what I want to do is play around with these a little bit. They're a little bit more challenging. They're a little bit more challenging with Kerbalism involved because of electrical and storage requirements. But I thought that'd be a go. I definitely want to go for one around Kerbin, and I'm hoping, as the moon really is going to be the focus here. Remember, I do have a Strategium strategy to land 3 probes onto the moon in different biomes, which will reward me handsomely if I do that. So I do want to keep thinking about the moon as my viable target. But before we get into all that, what I do have is 46.6 science. That's another tech node, and the one I was eyeing, is it this one, general construction? Yes, it is. It is this one, general construction, because of the 1.25 meter fairing. I think that's an exceedingly useful thing to have to, well, it's got struts and everything. I am playing with a modified tech tree. This is the Probes Before Crew tech tree. So things are coming in funky orders, but this will help with putting uncrewed things into orbit, which is definitely going to be a thing with this one. But I'm going to start off with, actually, let's just warp to sunrise so we can see what's going on. I'm going to start off with something really, really simple. And this is just a flat out simple science grab. Is last episode, here, let me get my HECS probe core, which is my best probe core. Last episode, I tried to take the materials bay and the mystery goo. Why don't I grab the inline mystery goo coming from Restock and take these into, I took them into orbit. That part actually went pretty well. Tried to collect that orbital science and then had to return them because with Kerbalism, these things collect samples which need to be returned to the surface or analyzed in a laboratory that I have not yet unlocked. And I thought, you know what, why don't I actually do something really, really simple and just put one of these out on the surface, and then I can show you how this all kinds of works with Kerbalism, because I have and then I can just flat out recover it. I thought that'd be a simple thing to do. So don't need an antenna, don't need to transmit. There's nothing to transmit. Oh, the new Restock just got dropped. Thank you, John. I should actually mention that with 1.11, there has been a bit of an issue with Restock. If I go to communications, these are the antennas I've unlocked, and I should have the HG5 relay antenna, which I don't, and that is a Restock problem. I don't know if there's other parts that have gone astray with Restock, but that's really good to know, because at some point I'm going to want to start making relays, and I'd like to be able to do that. Anyway, getting back to this, I want to do collect these 2 just on the surface, just on the launch pad. Now, the one thing you got to really think about with Kerbalism is the electricity that this stuff consumes. So for instance, and it's the Science Junior that's going to be the main culprit here. Notice that it uses up 2.04 units of electricity per second. I am in a prayer of generating that because all I got is OxSats. Unless I make a whole panel of them, I guess it could work. But there's a simpler thing for me to do, is to simply put on enough batteries to run the experiment. It's going to run for 20 minutes and 46 seconds. So as long as I have enough electricity to run for 20 minutes and 45 seconds, that would be cool. So all I got to do is get to this and put this on. If I put on my little Kerbalism helper menu, which is, by the way, awesome. Notice right now I'm only consuming 0.025 units per electric charge per second. It even tells you what it is. It's all from the probe body for idle communications and for the command and control, just communicating with the KSC. But if I put this onto waiting, notice suddenly how this jumps up to 2.065 per second. And right now, I have enough electricity on this thing to run this for 47 seconds. Remember, what I need is I need to run it for 20 minutes and 46 seconds. So all I got to do is start piling on batteries until I get that time. I might leave it this way. Why not? So right now I can run for 10 minutes. That's still not enough. Let's stick on a pile of these guys. 8-way symmetry. Let's do that. Yep. And then do this. 8-way symmetry again. Now it'll run for 23 minutes. Still not enough. You can see how challenging these things are to run. And now it'll run for 29 minutes. That's going to be enough. I also need to make sure I have the electricity to run the goo experiment. But if we take a look at the goo experiment, it only uses up 1.8 units of electric charge per second, and it only runs for 10 minutes and 41 seconds. So that should be fine. Oh yeah, and a fuel cell. That's what I did before. I used a fuel cell to do the electricity. You know what? I might try that again. But yeah, thank you, John. Yes, absolutely. There is the fuel cell that I keep forgetting about that can run... How much do... I'll get to it. I did that last episode. I'll get back to it in just a bit. But this actually should do it. If I put all this on waiting... there we go. It says with both of these running, I have enough electricity to run for 27 minutes, so it should be fine. I think I'm just going to make this like super lazy. I'm just going to launch it just like this, and this should be just easy science. I really just should grab the low-lying fruit that's available. So here we go. Let's put, this is untitled. I didn't even save this thing. And right now, if I put it on data, this is collecting materials bay and material study, and it's filling up our sample slots with that. And as this goes, we should be seeing the sample slots starting to get filled up. And you can see here how long this is going to take, 20 minutes and 20-something seconds, but time warping is going to take care of that. Come on, there we go. Oh, we're done. Okay. So it was that easy. We have created 4 slots of materials based sampling stuff. By the way, this sample stuff does add mass too. It's 32 kilograms worth of samples that we just collected. I'm not quite sure where they came from. And 7.3 kilograms filling 1 sample slot of the goo. And if we recover, that's all I need to do. Easy peasy science. Science on the pad. And this is not biome specific. This is just surface of Kerbin. So this is a one-offer. Surface of Kerbin landed. Oh, it makes me think I might be able to do surface of Kerbin splash down. But I mean, right there, that's what we get there. Science. Oh, well, I'm up to 20.8 science, so it gave me some science. I lost track. I didn't keep track of what it was. I also want to take a look at. Let's pull up. Let's get rid of this one. That was easy to do. Let's pull up. Oh, which one was it? Is it that guy? No. Need to give these things better names. This one? This was it. This was my attempt at recovering something from orbit last time. The materials bay and the mystery goo are on here, and I sent it into orbit, and actually no, it was suborbital, wasn't it? It was suborbital. I can tell by the delta V, can't I? Yeah, this thing. Oh no, it made it into. I'm losing track. This thing should be able to make it into orbit with the delta V it has. Okay, never mind. It must have made it into orbit. I'm forgetting what I did. This one's running on a fuel cell. So instead of putting on the pile of batteries, what I did is I put on a fuel cell here. And if we configure the fuel cell... where is this one? It tells me it creates 2.4 units of electric charge per second, which is enough to run the materials bay and the goo. And then I just need to make sure I put on enough hydrogen and oxygen to run it. And that part worked fine. It was just on descent, this part blew up, but I can fix that. So I want to try this again. Let's take a look at the mystery goo. I don't have all the mystery goo from Space Low around Kerbin. And I certainly have 0 material space. So what I'm going to do, this is what I'm thinking, is I have, and this is what I completely neglected, the experimental storage unit. Let me just put that there. Instead of trying to recover this whole kebab, why don't I just try and recover the experimental storage unit? Why don't I just try... Let's see here. I should have a decoupler. Do I have the small one? Yes, I do. Like that. Like that. Oh, wait. I need a heat shield. I do now have the 0.625 meter heat shield. And that. And that. I'll get this. This, I suppose, is going to be the HECS 3. Oh, no, it's the... Yeah, I'm going to call it the HECS 3. Sure, why not? Yep. So, this way, it should have all the electricity it needs in order to... from the fuel cell in order to run both experiments. But now, all I got to do... Whoops. Is recover... Actually, I should... No. This should work. Let's change the root part to this. All I have to recover is this. And I'm not entirely convinced. You know what I'm thinking? Here, I know. I got more ideas. Oh, these fins are big. If I put... Take this away. It's funny how these fins suddenly look huge. Two-way symmetry. Like that. What I'm trying to do is to create some drag. This is so gonna be bad. Create some drag so this thing will come down heat shield first. That's kind of my thinking. I'm not sure this is gonna make any sense, so do that. So the idea is this whole thing goes up. Remember, I got a fairing to put around all this too. And then I start to descent. And the only thing that comes down is this. I'm thinking that might survive coming through the atmosphere. We can test it though. I think this is deserving of a test. So what we're gonna do. Let's turn this off. Let's turn this off. I'm going to stop and just read the chat here for just a little sec, because quite often I end up doing really dumb things that people are going, what are you doing? And then I go, oh yeah, I wish I read the chat while I was... It's hard to read the whole chat here. This thing went suborbital before? Or maybe it did. Wasn't that Delta V just over? All right. I got a whole plan. Okay, yeah. Yeah, this thing just went suborbital before. Okay, we're gonna have to build a new booster for it. That's cool. I'm perfectly comfortable with a new booster for this thing. There. Let's fix the staging. And then what we'll do is we're gonna put a fairing on this. Now that we got ourselves some fairings, we can make this look official like it's like I know what I'm doing. Okay, fairing. Clamshell deploy because it's dangerous and looks cool at the same time. And put this back on. So what I want to do, this is going to be the... Is there a... Yeah, there's a probe body in there. Fix the staging a little bit. I should have the parts now to get this thing into orbit. Yep, fuel cell I think is the way to go. I got some backup solar on here, but you're right. Fuel cell I think is the way to go. I'll think about that with the... I always forget about the fuel cells. Oh, look at these two here. I'm going to put one of these here. They can be tucked under the fairing now. And the other one here, just to get them out of the airstream. There we go. That's a nice little rocket. So what we're going to do, because I have not a huge amount of confidence that this thing can return safely, so what we're going to do is we're going to pull out the crash simulator. And one of the things you can do is not just simulate starting from the launch pad or the runway, but start simulations from orbit. Now, you can, and actually landed too from here. I don't do that one too often, but the orbit one I do a lot. Notice though I only have the moon and Kerbin because those are the only two places I've visited. It doesn't allow you to do a simulation at a location until you've done at least a flyby there, which I think is great. So let's do this from Kerbin. Altitude of 75,000 meters. I think that sounds good for a test. All right, let's simulate this. Yes, I'm glad I was reminded of fuel cells. Okay, and so there. Let's lose the fairing. See if that part's working good. We will put this on the retrograde vector. The only reaction wheels are in the probe body, so it's not like this thing is heavy, or this thing's pretty heavy. And then what we're going to do is simply burn retrograde. How about activate the engine? Burn retrograde. That's enough of that. We don't have to be. And then just to get our periapsis down in the atmosphere. And then we're going to lose this whole thing. Oh, I can't switch to the other. Ah, see, this is why you do simulations. It will not let me switch to the other thing because there's no control in it. Okay. So, we'll terminate. Yeah, that cost me 604 Kerb bucks to find out that my plan wasn't going to work. That's why simulations are good. So we'll close that simulation. So we do need to put a probe body on this. Okay, this requires a slight... I do not have the 1.25 meter heat shields yet. Where's thermal? Thermal. Requires a modification of the plan. I'm worrying that... Let's change the... Back to that. Here, let's take the bottom bit of this off. I'm worrying that this probe body won't survive, but then again, I guess there's only one way to find out. Now the probe body is part of the top thing. Let's rebuild this fairing. Okay. Okay, let's see if... I think I still need fins up there. Took them off. That's what I wanted. Okay, mass and lift. I want that center of mass above, or that center of lift above the center of mass. That's why I have to pull these like way up here. Looks kind of dorky, but maybe if you put them right together, it might not. That doesn't look incredibly stupid. Looks like it kind of thinking about doing something that might work. All right. Okay, gotta redo this fairing again. All right, staging all makes sense still. Okay, we're gonna do another simulation. Oh shoot, I just simulated it. Ah, bah, bah. You know what I did? Oh, switch through the tracking station. Switch to the debris. Maybe. If this doesn't work, I messed up because I just hit simulate, and of course we're on the launch pad. I could use the cheat menu to put myself into orbit, but I'm gonna stick with being honest, not pulling out that cheat menu unless I have to. So here, let's put ourselves into orbit. That's a good idea though, is to switch to the debris from the tracking station. That should work. But we'll do this. If this works, then that's fine too. Okay, again, let's stage that fairing. That's still good. Activate the engine. Bring down our periapsis. Okay. And I'm actually deliberately going off of the retrograde vector because I want to see if aerodynamics will sort of take care of this a little bit for me. Oh, actually, now I'll have control though. Okay, let's just do that. Put it back on retrograde. Surface retrograde, not that here it makes a difference. The parachute's armed. Let's see what happens. There we go. And I'm taking SAS off, and I'm just going to see if it will naturally stay this way. Now, I am a little worried because the heat shield's pretty small. Boy, it's not wanting to stay that way, is it? What are you doing to me? I thought you were going to be good. You're just tumbling all over the place. Let's see if it settles out. This is a test. But I am concerned that... Well, I think it's going to work. Here, put it back on retrograde. I think it does want to stay on there. Turn it off again. There we go. But the probe body... Oh my gosh. We got some funky stuff happening here. SAS back on, lock and on. As long as, you know what, let's just keep it locked on there. If that works, it works. I have control. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, we can switch from I tried switching from map. Oh, I guess that's true too. You can switch. Can you switch to debris from map view? I didn't even think about that. All I was doing was hitting the bracket keys on my keyboard to try and switch that way. Now, I can see that those fins are getting pretty hot. Those little fins are kind of fragile. I don't know. I think this is going to work. Yeah, it'll work from here. I'm good with this. Okay, this is the design. Terminate the simulation. I think there's some great ideas coming from the chat. You don't think the fins are helping, John? You might be right. But I like them. I'm going to keep them. Okay, so what we need to do is get this fella into orbit. So, we are going to put on this decoupler. And, yeah, still got only these smaller fuel cans. I did add, by the way, another mod called Configurable Containers. It just sort of caught my eye as I was playing around with mods, and I'll show you what it does. There should be, here it is, edit tanks, it gives you this menu so that, like, for instance, this tank is for, it says liquid chemicals, but obviously that's meant to be liquid fuel. But let's say I just wanted liquid fuel and nothing else. I can delete that, and now it's nothing but liquid fuel, right? Let's see if you can add more on, right? Somehow, maybe. Need to play with this still some more. I'll play with this. I just took everything out, so now it's a structural part. But I always kind of bugs me that you have these tanks and you're stuck with what you got, and there's so many times where it's like, oh, I really don't want the oxidizer, I just want the liquid fuel, but I don't want to use those just liquid fuel tanks, or maybe I want monopropellant. So I thought, that seems like a fun mod, so I went with it. Okay, I'm gonna do a few of these. That might already be a little on the tall side, but let's slap a swivel engine on the bottom because I do want that. Ooh, that's still quite a lot of thrust. That's still quite a lot of thrust. That's a lot of delta V. For reaction wheels, I only have the small ones. Let's put some fins on the bottom. This might still work. Do I have... I do. Launch clamps now. I mean, 4,168 meters per second of delta V, even if it is less than ideally efficient. Let's try and reduce this a little. 3583, let's put one tank back. Give myself lots of fuel because this thing might be goofy. There we go. I don't see why this won't work. I really don't. Can we make it look nicer? Yeah, here. Take out all those lines, black lines. Because looking good is important. Can I do these? Is there a variant on those that doesn't? Oh, there is a variant. I got some variants on these. Just two, either dark or light. I'll keep them light. A lot of these variants are coming from restock, not from stock, but honestly, I kind of lose track of what is and isn't stock as far as variants goes. I'll put the cone thing. What do you call that? Bobtail on that. That looks pretty good. I think that should work. Let's really quick adjust this thrust to weight ratio a little bit. Honestly, I'm thinking of just going for it just like this. I do not see a problem. Well, I don't foresee a problem. Of course, when it's the problems that you do not foresee, of course, that are always the fun, isn't it? Got flags. There we go. Gotta represent. Okay, let's try this out. So, boat tail. Is it a boat tail? I said bobtail. Boat tail. Thanks, John. And thinking about changing the fuel priority, Felipe, yeah, that's always a great idea to have it drain from the bottom up, but that helps keep the map. But I'm going to try it without it first, see how it goes. So again, this is going to start as a simulation. We're going to start from the launch pad, so if this fails horribly, at least it won't cost me a ton of money. Yes, in Kerbalism, James, you can move samples and science around without Kerbals, which is great. Kerbalism actually removes the need entirely for you to ever EVA scientists to have to collect and move science about. You can always just kind of collect it around. It's really nice. That can be all automated. Okay, let's do this thing. Again, this is just about can we get to orbit. So SAS on, throttle up. Let's do this. Boom. Oh, okay. I did usually have those on the same two stages. Check your staging, right? Forgot to check my staging. Okay, knocking it over. Nice actually starting to get some rockets that actually start to look like regular rockets, not just your hodgepodge of, you know, KSP wacky parts all kind of stuck together and something that looks like it would never fly. I'm noticing I'm going, you know what, I shouldn't worry so much about inclination. My heading's a little bit off, but I shouldn't worry about that. It really isn't important for this. I just got to get in orbit. Oh, we got some clouds going by. I love that. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. And the rate at which it's falling over is actually pretty good. I'm just keeping it locked on the prograde vector and just kind of letting it do its thing. Could be falling over a little bit more, but that's okay. The main thing is, for now, it's stable. If it loses stability, I'll be starting to fiddle around with the fuel flow priority in these tanks. But I'm hoping it won't be necessary. Max Q. I think we're past max Q now. And we're just about to cut the throttle. Good enough. All right. That is nice. Still have 4 ignitions on this engine. Remember, Kerbalism does limit the number of ignitions you have. Still 4 minutes and 8 seconds of burn time on that engine, so it should be fine. Oh, there's only 13 meters per second left in it. Let's get ourselves up there. Okay, let's lose the fairing. Oh, lose the fairing. This one is next. Boom. And again, I'm not going to do the whole insertion here. All I want to do is get myself close to... Oh yeah, you know what? There's something I should do. Forgotten, my tracking station is still level 1. Okay. Speed is a little under 1,000 meters per second, but I still have 1,500. Add that up, I only need about less than 2,300 meters per second to achieve an orbit, so I have the delta V I need. Bibbidi bab. Let's terminate this. Terminate the simulation. I'm confident I could have done the orbit. There's no sense spending more money. Let's actually do this thing for real. Now, before I do this thing for real, do I have lights, by the way? I do not think I have lights yet. No. Okay, so what I'm going to do I have the money to upgrade the tracking station? Really quickly. There's the tracking station. It's 150,000. I have 286,000. Boom. There we go. I got to be careful with my money. If people from if you were here last week, you know that money got really, really tight. All right, this time though, save, and we're gonna launch this, and this one's for real. No backsies. Things go wrong, things go wrong. But what that does for me is now I have my time to apoapsis and periapsis, which I find very useful. Z, throttle up. Let's actually put this on here and go. Oh, forgot to fix that staging. Oh well. Yeah, fairings assigned. I usually do that. John says I have fairings assigned to action groups, and then do the fairings with KOS. I actually do the same thing. My favorite action group being action group number 5 for my fairings. So my KOS launch scripts in my other series, they use action groups, and always it's if you put the fairings and anything else you want to attach to that, it'll do those automatically. Got some dark clouds there, some rain coming. Okay, I'm just locking this on, taking it off the lock to prograde for a moment because I feel like I'm falling over too quickly. This is my way of dealing with it. Have it not pitch over. I got to be a little careful. I don't want this to flip out. So I'm not letting the little ship icon get outside of the circle. I think that's good now. There we go. Actually, I can start reducing throttle now. I have a tutorial video coming up on this topic about reducing that throttle and not letting that apoapsis get ahead of you, and it makes your launches more efficient. Makes them take more time, so maybe on a live stream that's not the best plan, but now that I have that time to apoapsis staring me in the face, I kind of want to... It kind of forces, it makes me go, hey, you should be reducing your throttle, dude. Your time to apoapsis is at like a minute. And a KOS update out there as well. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing KOS on this series, so I don't have to worry. I'm not going to do that. Am I... Oh! Not paying attention. What was my head saying? I need more thrust, is what my head's saying. And my other Let's Play, which is on a bit of a hiatus right now while I do tutorial videos. It's still on 1.10, at least for a little while yet. More thrust, full thrust. Okay. Not a lot of thrust on that little engine. Okay, we cracked 50 kilometers, so I'm just going to stage the fairings. They're ready to go. Yep, boom, there they go. I don't think aerodynamics is a big deal anymore, and I like to lose the weight. But then again, with this big thing on top, maybe that wasn't a good plan. I don't know. Reducing thrust again, just keeping that apoapsis nearby. The reason why that helps keeping apoapsis nearby is as you keep apoapsis close at hand, time to apoapsis small, you're pushing up your periapsis dramatically. So I'm doing a good chunk of the orbital insertion right now. Thanks, Felipe, for the compliment on my most recent tutorial. That will be coming out on Saturday. So now all of a sudden I'm a little bit worried that... Well, we'll see. We'll see what we get. Just let this build. Thrust is exceedingly small. Teeny, tiny, tiny, tinny little thrust. But the actual circularization should be minuscule. Yeah, I should be checking drag and lift. I know, like, what's it, Alt 12? I was thinking, oh, well, but then most of the time I don't have aerodynamic surfaces on the top of my rocket. So I might have let go of that fairing a little bit too early. I'm going to cut throttle pretty soon. My apoapsis is at 73 kilometers. I'll let it get over 75. 75 kilometers, 76 kilometers. I'm cutting throttle. A lot of ignitions on the little pug engine there. We'll time warp out of the atmosphere, and then once we're out of the atmosphere, I can do the... can fire up my goo and my materials bay. So let's fire up the materials bay. Let's fire up the goo. And let's fire up the fuel cell. Boom. That should all be good now. We're collecting our stuff, and then in the meantime we can perform our circularization. This is using time efficiently. Still got 159 meters per second left in this thing. It should be good. Let's get close to our apoapsis. Okay. Let that settle back down on prograde. A little closer. All right. Again, I'm just going to watch from here. About 10 seconds from apoapsis. But my periapsis is already in the positive numbers, so this really should not take much to perform the final circularization. You can see we already got the camera dippy-doo. And that is an orbit right there, 75 by 75. We just got to wait for our goo to finish off, or our Science Junior to finish off, which is going to take 17 minutes. Let's put this on the normal vector. I do have some solar cells that I'm not even sure they're really necessary. I guess they're like a backup. All right. Let's time warp away this 17 minutes. And collecting lots and lots of science, hopefully. 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. It's done. All right, and the goo is a shorter thing, so it should be done even quicker than that. That means I can turn off my fuel cell, because it was just there to provide the electricity to run those experiments. Where bits are we? Oh, let's just... Oh, let's see. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, let's do it right here. See if I can put myself down into the water over by the KSC here. Do I have trajectories installed? I don't even know. I think I might. Which one of these funky buttons is trajectory? That's... I thought I did. You know what? Forget it. We'll just do this. I'll look into that, whether I have trajectories installed. Trajectories predicts your trajectory even with the atmosphere. I thought I installed it. At least I thought about it. There, that should do it. That should get us nicely. And then we'll put ourselves on one of the normal vectors just so that this whole business... Oh, wait, before I hit eject, were there people yelling at me? Don't forget, don't forget. We got to collect our science here. So transfer all our data here. That would have been a real disaster if I didn't do that. So now if I hover over the data, see how it highlights the science container, the experiment storage unit. So all the science is there. It's not in here or the material base. So that's good. I'm glad I remembered that. That would have been really bad. Let's put this on to retrograde. And parachute is armed. Let's go. Let's do it. Notice I have a waypoint at the KSC. There's a mod I have called Waypoint Manager, but I don't see how the KSC... Well, probably in the settings. Oh yeah, I don't only show me... There it is. Only show me the active. So it's nice. Waypoint Manager, which is a mod I'll use a fair amount later on. I love how you can make custom waypoints too, but it gives you waypoints to shoot for. I just don't want to see them when I don't need to see them. Okay, we are on our way. So how much science is in here? 27 science in the materials bay and another 1.8 because I'd already done a lot of it with the goo before on my suborbital attempt. Trajectories is not up to 1.11, but I thought I installed it anyway. A lot of these mods aren't up to 1.11. But I don't see it, so maybe I didn't. I might have made note to install it in the future. I don't need it just yet anyway. There is some sort of asymmetric drag happening here. See how it pulls it off of the vector there? Interesting. Anyway, we're through the worst part, coming through the clouds. Parachute has deployed. Science package coming to the surface. This is the one thing you go, where am I going to land? I don't know. There's clouds in the way. And then the clouds break, and oh, there we are, over the ocean. Not far from the KSC. I'm fine with that, I think. Get this down to the surface. And that went really well. Okay, you know, and then after this, we're going to get into that SCANsat stuff. It's SCANsat time. Oh, you know what I haven't done? Shoot! Okay. I made a note to myself to do this, but I did not look at contracts. I was so eager to get started with this, and I had a contract I know that I didn't accept that said to do an orbit and recover. And I completely forgot to go into the contracts, even though I have a note right in front of me saying to do that. Okay, kill time warp just before we hit the water here. I don't trust the physics at high time warp. Boom. There we are. Beautiful. Done. I'm not going to be going to Minmus for a while because of the... Tadeo said, do you think you can get to Minmus this episode? The answer to that question is absolutely. I can get to Minmus, at least do a flyby. That's easy enough. Let's see, we're up to 34 science. That's great. But I do have, we'll show this to people, this strategy here called Mun Probes, which what it does is it gives me 400% funds on milestones involving the moon, but minus 80% to the funds for milestones on other bodies. So this really does discourage me from going to other places other than the moon until I get this contract done. And this contract is done when I've landed 3 probes in, it's not a contract, this strategy is done when I've landed 3 probes in different biomes, 3 different biomes of the moon. So that's why we're going to be really focusing on the moon. Here's what I forgot to do. Go into here. Oh my gosh, and look at contracts. Like, for instance, reach, orbit, and return. We'll grab this one anyway because I should have grabbed it to begin with. And put yourself into a polar orbit. I definitely want to grab that for my mapping satellite. So that's good too. Moon exploration, impactor. That's another one I was looking at. Yeah, I want to do a moon impactor. I think that would be fun. And Minmus exploration we're going to ignore for now. Break the sound barrier I'm going to ignore for now, but we'll get into jets soon enough. Not this episode, but definitely soon enough. Collecting science. Collect science from the surface of the moon. Expires in 55 minutes. Okay, I got to be a little CommNet Relays. We'll get into those future. Crude orbit won't be for a little while either because of the mod pack or the tech tree modifications. Let's not get into these specific orbity ones. Not a fan. SCANsat official. I definitely want to do this. So, conduct a low-resolution altimetry scan of Kerbin. That's what I plan on doing next. And do a multispectral SCANsat survey of Kerbin. I definitely want to do that next. I'm now up to 6 contracts. So I am getting close to how many contracts I can have. And tourists, we won't be putting up tourists for a bit. So that's good. Should have done that before. Your probes sink, Rob. I don't know. My probes always float. I'm not sure why probes sink when they do. And in fact, I don't know. Everything seems so buoyant in KSP. Okay. So this is going to be, we're going to cancel this. We're going to go new. This is going to be MapSat1. That's what I'll call it. Why is my typing map sat 1? All right. And this is going to be a SCANsat mapping satellite. So we'll start with our HECS probe core. And I didn't even look. How much science do I have, by the way, right now? I think I need 45 for another node. Do I have 45? Yeah, just leave the tech building just for a second. I have 65. Yes. Science nodes. I can get I can get a 1.25 meter heat shield. That would have been useful a little bit ago. Oh, the bigger reaction wheels. Control fins, RCS. Plane parts. I think I'm going to go here. Just bigger fuel tanks by themselves makes this one worthwhile. Yeah, we'll do this one. So this is advanced rocketry. Okay. Woo, and we also have, oh, a new experiment for the, okay, new experiment too. All right, we're backing in here. Okay, MapSat1. A new experiment has just been unlocked from Kerbalism. These experiments are hooked onto the probe core. So if I go to configure here, a lot of these I've done. I've done the entire telemetry report in orbit. I've done the 2-hot thermometer in orbit. I've done the Geiger counter in orbit. Done the light experiment, which takes... Have I done that? That sounds familiar. Look at our science archive. The light experiment has been done in low orbit. The MITE experiment. The MITE experiment can be done in space low, and notice it's biome specific, and space high. It takes 12 minutes and 35 seconds to run. It needs some electricity in order to do that, and needs to be in an inclined orbit. And considering we're going to do some mapping, I'd say that's just about perfect. So we're going to do a MITE experiment. And the site experiment also can be done. And have I done? I haven't done the site either, have I? No. So we can do, I think that's it. So we have some new experiments we can do. The site experiment and the MITE. All of these are, by the way, butchered acronyms, which is so typical for any kind of science or space program to have butchered acronyms. So this is the Survey Interplanetary Trash Experiment, which measures dust through the vacuum, and the MITE is the Magnetosity Ionospheric Transmissive Evaluation, which measures the strength of the magnetic field in the ionosphere. Nice. Okay, so good. We got some experiments we can do. Boom, boom, boom. Nice. Okay. So, oh, you're thinking of putting this in a highly elliptical orbit, but then that won't be conducive to mapping. I think that's a good idea. And maybe we'll do another one like that, but that kind of works against the idea of making this a mapping satellite. Okay, here we go. Let's start with the radar altimeter. Center that on. And I also have here the multispectral analyzer. I can probably fit them both on the same probe, but the electricity demands and especially the data demands, how much data these generate, are pretty huge. So I think it might be better for me to do this with a single, I'm trying to center this, I'm not doing a very good job, but with do 2 separate launches, that's what I'm trying to say. One for each, because the demands are going to be reasonably high. So let's take a look at this one. The radar altimeter, the R-3B radar altimeter. It consumes 1.0 units of electric charge per second. But the thing is doing the SCANsat takes days. So you really need to make sure to provide the electricity it requires as well. This thing will keep scanning at night. And so when it's not in the daylight, you know, it's going to be using up electric charge. So you need to provide enough battery. I already did a little bit of figuring out of what electricity needs are required, and I worked out that the night drain for this thing is 679 units of electric charge. So I'm going to need 679 units of electric charge to get this thing to be able to survive the night. Let's do 8 of those, see what that comes out to be. Boom. In order to survive the night with this thing running. Now, it's going in a polar orbit. Technically, you can put it in an orbit in such a way that it's in the sunlight all the time, but it won't stay in that orbit, so I think it's better to just sort of plan that it is going to spend some time in the night side. So how many units of electric charge is... Oh, that's 1,300 units of electric charge right there. I might have already... I don't need that much. Go down one. 1160. Go down another one. That's 800. Boy, I really... I don't know what made me think I needed so much battery storage, but... That's 700 right there. That should do it. I think I might just stick with that for the electric charge part. Now, actually, I know what I want to do. Let's take these off because I'm thinking about something else. Electricity. If I turn this to simulate the scanner in the planner, so we can take a look at the planner, this thing is consuming 1.025 units of electric charge per second. I could do a fuel cell, which can do that easy, but then I need to provide fuel for it for days, and I'm not even sure how many days, so I would prefer not to get into that. So I'm going to use these octats. Each octat is 0.3 units of electric charge per second. I think the other experiments, thank you, I just noticed that. Tom mentioned don't forget your other experiments. So I'll put in the other experiments. I'm now up to 1.26 units of electric charge per second. Thank you very much. Okay. Now, I did some figuring because you actually not only have to put in enough electric charge to keep the experiment running, but you need to also have enough electric charge to recharge up your batteries while that got drained during the night pass. And I worked out that I need about 1.7-ish electric charges per second. This is 0.3. Now, if you put this into a hexagonal pattern, this might be a useful thing for people to remember. Like, how much electricity is this going to generate for me on average, right? Or maybe in a worst case scenario. It's a good thing to remember. Because clearly if the sun's shining on this, a lot of these are going to be in the dark. But some of these are going to be on an angle and won't be doing at 100% charge. So I did the math for you. I did a little bit of trigonometry, and I'm going to give you a number. If you put static solar panels in a hexagonal pattern like this, and you would like to know how much electric charge this will generate per second, take the electric charge generated by one of these and multiply by 1.7. Okay, if you want to pop by the Discord, I can show you the math behind where I got that 1.7 from. But if I multiply this 0.3 by 1.7, I get 0.51. So this configuration will generate about 0.5 units of electric charge per second. So what I would need is about 4 rows of these to get enough. If I put it into an octagon pattern, I might have to rotate this way for this. So I have 8 of them. Maybe I'll come down onto the... No, we'll do it here. I don't know why I'm having trouble. There we go. If you put them in an octagon like that, that multiplier number goes from 1.7 to 2.4. So again, this 0.3 electric charge per second times 2.4, and if you want to drop by the Discord, I'll go over it with you. That gets me 0.72, and so I can get away now with 3 rows of these. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 3 rows of these octats in an octagon pattern to provide the electricity that I need. So that was all my calculating stuff there. I hope people don't mind that, but this is why I actually want to keep these guys. Put another row here. Put another... I just made that the root part. That's not what I intended to do. That was dumb. What I intended to do is grab these and just move them outward so they match what's above it. So that's another 0.72, so that's about 1.4 units of a generation. And what I want to do is, and how many? I got 700 units of batteries. You know what? Doesn't hurt to go more. Doesn't hurt to go more. So let's put 2 more here. And that. Oops. Didn't hold the Alt key. And that. And there we go. In my calculations, And I hope my calculations are sound. But by my calculations, this should be able to be enough power to power this antenna and power it through the night. One more thing I need to put on here is data storage. The antenna here generates a ton of data. And what's unfortunate is, unlike all the rest of the experiments here, which it actually tells you, like for instance, where is it here? Oh wait, that's not a good one to look at because it doesn't generate data. This one, notice it generates 1.01 kilobytes per second of data. So you can calculate how much data this is going to generate. The SCANsat stuff doesn't give you that information. All I remember from doing this in the past is it's a lot. So what I'm going to do is I have a slider here for the data capacity. I'm going to up that. And in fact, to really make sure of the data capacity, I'm going to actually put another probe core under here. There we go. So, oh, and I'm going to take that probe core. I'm going to put its data capacity to maximum. So I have 16 megabytes of data capacity. And also I'm going to configure the unmanned experiments so that there are no unmanned experiments on this, because that does save me some money and some weight. Okay. What do people think? Do I have something here that's going to work? Yep, Restock has updated. That is definitely something I'm going to be doing before the next week. I think I got something here. I think I got something that's going to work. So, these are big. There's my smallest. Is that a fuel can? Oh, that's huge, isn't it? Oh my golly. Okay. Let's put on... Oh, yeah, that's why it feels so... Okay, let's put on a fairing. We'll enclose this. Actually, let's delete the fairing for now. Ah, no. Keep the fairing on. I'm doing... Edit the fairing. There. There we go. And again, clamshell deploy. This is a personal preference of mine. Clamshell deploy and then up the number of sides. So that will hopefully deploy all right. I'm going to put that on the bottom. I'm going to take... I now have the Terrier, which is one of my favorite orbital engines, but I think it's a little much for this little guy. Yeah, so that's why I'm going to put on the little Pug engine. Beautiful. That is absolutely, actually great, I think. Okay, now we need to put a... What I should be doing is starting to save some of my boosters, because I got me a feeling that old booster... There's what I'm looking for, the coupler. Something very similar to the old booster will actually do well. Oh, I got bigger tanks, though. Bigger tanks are good. Let's put 3 of these. And again, a swivel on the bottom, because I did not... Yeah, I still only have the small reaction wheel, so I'm going to use the gimbaling that's in the swivel engine to give me stability control. That's frickin' frickety frack. That's looking awesome right there. This is going to go into a polar orbit. And I'm banking in around 3,800 meters per second to get into a polar orbit. Right now this is 4,800. This is a lot. I can lose this. 4,200. I really can get away with this. You know what I think I'm going to do? I think what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a lot of the fuel out of this to save payload mass. Yep, and now let's see. There wasn't a lot of thrust on that little Pug engine anyway. That's too little. This might be just right. I love that. 3898. I think that's good for a polar orbit. That's what I'm going to do. Bring this down. Put on this. Now I'm going to pause and look at the chat for just a little bit. Because I often find people are in the chat screaming at me going, wait, 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 what are you doing? What are you doing? All right. Launching without an antenna. Oh, see, that's why I look at the chat. I am most certainly launching without an antenna, and I have stuff here that is need of transmitting said science. So let's put on an antenna. Thank you very much, John. Mentioned I am launching with, that would have been an unfortunate thing to discover. Where can I really have not left myself a ton of room, have I? Single symmetry, a single one of these would be, actually, can I get away with the Communitron 8? It's a little one. What's the transmission rate on this? Max speed 1.5 kilobytes per second. Max speed 2.2 kilobytes per second. No, I want the Communitron 16 for the, I don't need it for the range, but I do need it for the speed. Now, if I do this, let's put that there. Okay. Let's just kind of rotate this so it's not interfering with the dish. That's kind of my plan is here. Slide that down so it's sort of like going to extend just up through that little crack. Tuck it in just a little. There we go. So when this extends, it's like not clipping anything. That looks all right. For a last minute fixer-upper idea there. And I'm hoping I'm not going to rework out electricity. I'm hoping that's all good. Boomity boomity boom. Let's rebuild that fairing. Okay. And how does this look like in dark? It does look good in dark. Let's go dark. Everything's going dark. Oh, it's too bad the actual cowling doesn't change its color to the little, oh well, whatever. The engine shroud, but we'll all go dark here. There we go. Beautiful little rocket. We need some flags. Bigger. There we go. Flags. Okay. And I think I can change these guys to dark too. Yes. And put on the bobtail, I think it's called. Yeah. Right? Bobtail. Okay. All right. Oh, thrust to weights. Thrust to weight. I want this down to about 1.3 in the atmosphere. I find that works well for me. And this one, which is just going to be an upper stage engine, this little pug rocket here, is going to be, really, it doesn't need to be much more than about around 1. So I'm going to turn that down. Okay. One thing with the SCANsat, I didn't point this out while I was doing this. If you take a look, this is the radar altimeter. There is a range of altitudes. And the best altitude is 70 kilometers, which is just above the atmosphere. So we're just going to go up to, I'm going to go to 75 kilometers, so we're a little bit above the atmosphere. All right, I'm thinking, do that, staging. Okay, let's run the simulation again. Let's not make sure that nothing's gone horribly astray. Boat tail. I got bobtail in my head. Boat tail. Thanks, John. All right, so we're going to go into a polar orbit, and I'm going to launch towards the south, which is 180 degrees on the Navball, which is about that direction. So there, there, and launch. Again, we'll let this pick up some... Oh, how about putting the SAS on? That's a thought. We'll let this pick up some speed first. And then we're going to go towards the south, which is that direction. And actually, you want to go a little past 180. So, like that. And I don't think... Oh, I do have inclination showing here. Okay, so I do have the ability to see my inclination. I think I'm a little bit too far. Oh, I'm falling over way too far. Uh-oh, uh-oh. I've lost it. Okay. Restart that simulation. Good thing that was a simulation. Let's try that again. SAS on. There we go. Oh. I went a little bit too far west of south. I definitely want to go a little bit west of south. And again, this is just to convince me that this thing will make an orbit. It is a... Okay, lock that onto prograde. A little more towards the west. Maybe like, yeah, I think that feels about right. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So my heading's around 192, 193. Kind of bouncing around there. Again, it's fallen over very quickly. I'm just knocking it over too hard at the start. Trying to keep it from falling over too much quicker than it already is, but I don't want to lose it like I did before. Okay, let's keep an eye on my inclination too. My inclination is now at 70 degrees. So I'm probably, if anything, coming a little bit too much towards the west. I don't have to be exactly 90. It's not like super duper uber critical. So I'm kind of keep pushing it this way. I should put an engineer chip on this too. I keep forgetting to do it. You know, now that stock has like reasonable information. What if I put this on orbit? There we go. That's better. Now it's locked on the orbital prograde vector. I like that. Reduce thrust a little bit. Oh, we're already over 70 kilometers. Let's just cut that. What did my inclination end up being? 92.3. I'm fine with that. Okay, so we still have 1,505. Oh, it's increasing because of the atmosphere is getting thinner, so the engines are getting more efficient. A little over 1,500 nonetheless. Okay, let's get rid of the fairing. That worked. And again, this is only about, will this make an orbit? So I'm getting myself up close to apoapsis. They're about 10 seconds from apoapsis. Velocity is about 1,000 meters per second. Add on the 1,500 I still got left. That's 2,500. That's an orbit easy. Still should have fuel left over to deorbit again. So we're going to terminate the simulation. Now it's going to be for real. All right. And actually what I'm going to do too while I'm at it is get into action groups. I do have action groups active, and just put this on to toggle that antenna, and put this on to start the radar and altimeter. Yeah. Oh, there is a toggle. Okay, let's take the... Oh, shoot. Toggle the radar altimeter. Toggle the antenna, get the probe body that's in here. Do I have toggle the mic toggle? Oh no, just start the mic, start the site experiment. So that way I'll push 1 and then this antenna will rise and it'll start all the experiments. Okay. Launching. Here we go. No backsies. This is the one. This is the one. This is the one. So SAS on, thrust up. And launch. Again, we're going to head towards the south. And we're going to knock it over at about 50 meters per second. And again, I've been still knocking it over too hard lately. There we go. Lock that onto prograde. See what that settles. I could, by the way, launch towards the north just as easily. Kind of like my heading right away. I'm just going to leave it at that. I could launch towards the north just as easily as launching towards the south. But in my mind, like, look it, there's neighborhoods over here. See that? The Eve mod put neighborhoods in there. I don't want to be dropping boosters on people's houses. That's terrible. Oh dear. I should be paying attention. I'm falling over. I think it's something in the design of this. Shoot! Oh dear. Oh dear. And this one's no backsies, remember. I think I might have just lost this. Cut throttle. Throttle up. I strayed too far from the prograde vector. This is not good. Thankfully, we ain't got no Kerbals on here. Actually, they'd survive. Okay, this is going to be an abort. This is an abort. That's my bad. I got too distracted talking about the neighborhoods that I didn't want to drop stuff on. Oh, I should. Looks like we're not going to make the water. I can tell from the aerodynamics, just the way this is falling, that these fins aren't doing much. Should maybe put on more fins. I think we're going to hit the shore. I don't want to hit this. I want to hit the water. We're safe here. We are. Here we go. It's not inexpensive. Our first launch failure. It had to happen. Okay. Are we in the water now? There we go. Yeah, I could use revert to flight, but I promised in this stream that once I sort of said myself I'm done the simulations that we're not going to revert to flight, so I didn't. But we can easily go back to the Space Center and just try this again. Suicide burn. I should have tried to land it. That would have been funny. I don't think it had the thrust to do it. Oh, what do we got here? Recover. Oh, I just hit fly. Oh, for gosh sakes. These are my launch clamps, of course. Okay, recover. That was dumb. All right. All right. Actually, can't I just click on the launch pad? I so rarely do this. MapSat1. Right here. I don't know why there's two of them here. They look identical. Launch. Don't have to go back into the VAB. It was, well, maybe I should add more tail fins. That might have helped. But I didn't. Yeah, I could have saved some parts. Fly Navy says you could have saved parts by trying to land it. And it's like, I could have, but I didn't. All right, we're going to try this again. And go. Put this on MapSat1. This is MapSat1b. MapSat1 is polluting the oceans right now. This is the MapSat1b. Okay, again, I've been having this tendency to just fall over too quickly. I really want to watch it. Yeah, let's keep that on prograde. Okay, here we are. Coming down, heading in the mid-90s. I'm okay with that. But again, what I really want to do is not fall over so quick. So I'm going to take it off the lock to prograde, put it back on lock to prograde, take it off the lock to prograde, put it back on the lock to prograde. Okay, I think it's pretty good now. And I'll keep an eye on inclination here. Inclination's now almost at 60 degrees. think what I'll do is when the inclination hits 90, just lock this to... they put this on orbital, and then that'll be... Why not do that? There we go. This is much better now. A little bit steep, but... more sane. Okay, here we go. Orbit. There! 90 point... right on 90 degrees there. I love that. Okay. Of course, it's a little bit going sideways in terms of the atmosphere, but... oh, my apoapsis is at 90 kilometers. And, well, just in time, we've lost this. Okay, so I wasn't paying attention to my apoapsis. We shot right by our target of about 75. And now it's tumbling and bumbling, but it's on its way up. This clearly might have had better design options. I think the center of lift is a little bit too high. I could have played with the tank, fuel configuration things. All the stuff are wouldas and couldas, but I didn't do it. Okay, let's lose the fairings. There we go. And at least now we're in a configuration that looks like we are in control. That's always important. Oh, the might and sight are going. Of course they are. I had that set to go. So they are busily filling up our hard drives. But I want to get our orbit first here. Yeah, our periapsis is very, very into the planet. Negative 567, so we're going to have to start this burn pretty soon. Oh my gosh, I could have used some reaction wheels. Got to start putting reaction wheels on these things. I only have the small ones, but I could still use them. I just don't, because I'm stubborn. There we go. Okay, you're going to lose that lower stage pretty soon. There we are. And now completely on the little pug. Come on, there. I'm going to up the thrust on this now because we're getting too close. Too close to apoapsis. I need the thrust. Pitching up because we're getting too close to apoapsis. Good, I'm pushing the time to apoapsis away. That's always a good sign. Pitch down. Lock it back on prograde. Start reducing throttle. Just need to get that periapsis above 70. Oh my gosh, I was thinking that I had to deorbit this thing. Of course I don't. I got deorbiting on the brain. Once it's above 70, we're golden. We're good. We got this. There. There we go. 90 by 71. It ain't pretty, but it's going to work. So let's orient this in a way for the solar panels to be happy. Which is going to be right on that north line. So that's sort of vertical on the screen. There we go. And let's push the 1 action group. There goes our antenna, and that should also be our low-res altimeter is going. So that should be hopefully doing this job. Now, our electricity is pinned at 0. So we are generating enough electricity at least to run all the experiments. That's a good thing. In fact, you can go to here too. Notice it says electric charge is perpetual. Let's see what happens as we go through the night side. I just realized too, I should have launched this thing at dawn or dusk, because then I wouldn't have to worry about the night side for a little while. But oh well, I didn't. Still got one more mapping satellite to go. We do. Okay, let's lose the sun. There goes the sun, and what I want to watch is our electricity is going down because we're now running on batteries. But as long as it doesn't hit 0 before we get to the top, we're all good. So it's coming up, coming up, coming up. Still mapping. Oh, it's close. Batteries are almost empty, but they're not empty. And oh, we just ran out of electric charge just before the sun. I cut it a little too fine. Will it charge up? Okay, it's going to charge up. So the generation is fine. I could have put on just a little bit more battery power. I don't think I factored in the transmitting and stuff when I was thinking about electricity. Okay, now let's take a look at our SCANsat. This is going to take a little while, but I think it's worthwhile looking at. So here's the map that SCANsat is slowly going to produce. You can see our trajectory projected on there in our polar orbit. We can take that trajectory off, and you can start to see how it's starting to do this map. Scanning as it goes along, just scanning in a band like this. And this is going to be like a black and white, low-res altimetry map of Kerbin, which I think is going to be great. And clearly you can see from looking at this, this is going to take a little while for it to do. But is partial transmission on? Oh, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if Kerbalism, Tadeo said, is partial transmission on, and honestly, I'm not sure how that affects Kerbalism. What I think will be an issue is, oh my gosh, see, look at the hard drive. The hard drive is already at 21%. The mite experiment and the site experiment should be all done, but it's going to take a while for it to transmit all this crap away. Is it filling up that hard drive? Should just... I'm just watching. Yeah, that hard drive. Okay, I think what's going to be more of a limiting factor is hard drive space. Even with the extra probe body and putting both of those up to the maximum, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be running out of hard drive space. And we're going to refresh our map. You can see what I just did there. There we go. We're going to run out of hard drive space. When it runs out of hard drive space, it's going to stop collecting stuff until it transmits away, and then it'll start collecting again. What I think I shall do, I'll show you how there's an automations feature in Kerbalism, which is pretty nice. If I go to here, click auto. There we go. If drive is below 10%, what I want you to do is turn off the SCANsat thing. That's really going to be the culprit, isn't it? And if the drive is empty, in other words, empty is it's got more than 85% of it available, then I want you to turn SCANsat back on again. Drive full, turn SCANsat off. How about that? I think these guys aren't generating enough data to be worth it. The mite's already done. The site is still working. One of those, remember, is biome specific. So it's going to be working for a bit. I think that's what I'm going to do. Now, where's our drive at right now? Our drive is at 8%. So I'm going to go into here and I'm going to turn... Did I do this right? Yeah. I'm going to go back to my devices. There we are. And I'm just going to turn SCANsat off for now. Or we'll do this as a test. So I'm going to turn SCANsat off for now because I don't want to fill up that drive. But what it should be doing now is it should be transmitting that junk away. Oh, we're running still. Okay, stop for a second. Let's turn all this off. Get back to automations. Drive full, turn everything off. Actually, I guess the antenna you can turn off too. Oh no, you want to keep that on. Keep transmitting. And then when the drive is empty, we want to turn everything back on again. And put this back on devices. There's a lot, and all this automation will happen in the background too, with us not being here. But what I want to do is just kind of put it to the test. Drive is only 2% of the drive is left available. That ain't pretty. But now okay, see how, okay, we're transmitting stuff away. We're now over 12%, and what should have happened is it should have turned stuff on. Okay, oh no, at 85% it turns it back on. So when this gets to 85%, let's actually do this again. Okay, time warping. I'm watching that drive. It's 25% available. When it gets to 85%, it should turn everything back on again. So this is the way we're going to manage our hard drive space. It's kind of unfortunate. Maybe if I put a third probe body on here, I don't know. It's hard to know because it doesn't tell you how much stuff it produces, how much data. Okay, 85%, and now stuff should have turned on there. Am I crazy? On. Back to here. Well, maybe it'll work in the back. Maybe it only works in the background. Drive full, turn everything off. Drive empty, turn everything on. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it this way. Maybe it's only in the when you're not with the vessel that this automation stuff works. I don't know. But we'll leave it to collect. Let's refresh this. Clearly, our map is going to get kind of sketchy as it turns things on and off again. But that's kind of just the way it's going to be. We're going to have to kind of put up with this. So this is going to take a little while for it to do everything. But it'll work. It'll work. And what I think I'm going to do in the meantime is put up another one. So we're going to go back to the Space Center. Separate probes for separate experiments, said Sadea. That's probably not a bad idea, but kind of did it. Separate probes for separate experiments is probably not a bad idea. Okay, so what we're going to do, this is going to be MapSat2. And I'm thinking, looking at the time, this might finish it off. I was hoping to get to the moon today, but I don't think that's going to happen. But that's okay. So what we need to do, we're going to remove this. And we're going to replace it with the multispectral scanner. Right there. By the way, if you're worried about Engineer gives you a nice way. If you're worried about this not being exactly centered, what I can do is if I take Engineer off of Compact and I take a look at torque and notice that that upper stage has 0.05 kilonewton meters of torque on it. That's because of asymmetrical mass. If I just grab this and just start pulling it around, till I get that torque as small as I can get it. There. Now it's at 0. That should now have all the mass centered. So that's a way to make sure you have everything centered the way you want. This has got some textures. Let's put it silver, and then it matches the probe body. As I already have things doing the sight and the mite experiment, what I think I will do is do nothing with these. None. None and none. That will save me that. I'll keep the hard drives. Should I put on a third one? I might put on a third one. Anyway, the one thing about the multispectral analyzer, it's very similar. Best altitude again, 70 kilometers, but it requires daylight for it to run. So this thing's going to map biomes for me, but it only works on the day side of Kerbin. So that's both a kind of a nasty thing. Half the time it's not going to work for me. But it's kind of a good thing in that I don't have to worry about running it with a pile of batteries. So I don't need all the batteries that it's going to have. So that's kind of all right. It doesn't need all the batteries. This thing is generating... Oh, let's simulate this. Boom. And how about the antenna? Should I simulate that? Yes, that's already being simulated. This thing only is 0.83 units of electric charge per second that it's going to be consuming, and it doesn't need to charge up the batteries again on the dark side because it'll all turn off on the dark side by I'm assuming by itself. So what I think I'll do, let's see, 0.83, each of these rows is 0.7. 0.7 I can lose a whole row here. I think I'm going to. What I think I'll do. Here's what I'll do. Let's take this whole bit off. See if we can solve. You know what? I don't think. I was about to say this thing will have hard drive issues too, but I'm running less experiments. And let's put some batteries back. Have some batteries. I'm running less experiments, and the scanner will turn off when it's on the night side. So I'm thinking that might be good. Just like that. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. So let's rebuild the fairing. I can see it doesn't need to be as tall. There. And get back into action groups. One, and with one I'm going to turn on this scanner. I guess oh wait, just hit the scanner. Start multispectral analyzer. There we go. It won't automatically turn off because it needs sunlight and it's dark. So wait, I'm saying, and no, the SCANsat modules won't automatically turn off because it needs sunlight and it's dark. Okay, that's good to know. So I'll do the automation thing and have it turn off when it's not in the sunlight using Kerbalism. Okay, so that should be good, that should be good, that should be good. Compact. I got a ton of delta V again. Alright, I'm going to fiddle with the fuel priority to try and... So I want this drain to drain quicker, so I want it to be a higher number. And then this one to drain next. And that one will drain last. So this way it'll drain from the bottom up. That should help with the stability that the other one was having. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything, but I really don't think so. I think I'm ready to do it. I think so. Again, just make sure. No experiments on that, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's save this. I'm going to go brave. Let's launch it, because it's not that much of a difference. No simulation this time. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. And I'm going to do something that I should have done with the previous satellite and I just flat out forgot. Is if I time warp to when the sun comes up. Look at those clouds. It's so nice. And I'm not going to use this button here because it always seems to go a little bit past actual sunrise. I want to do this right at sunrise. Oh, I got 4.5 science. Oh, I'm getting a warning about the batteries. Batteries are back. Keeps killing the time warp because of all this stuff. You can turn off these notifications, by the way. Okay, that's enough. I'll just to show you, if I go to here, where is it? There. If I go to MapSat1 and I go to config here, there we go. Stop giving me notifications about the battery. I know it's sketchy. Now I can go back to MapSat2. There we go. Okay, again, I'm going to sunrise. Getting lots of science, though. That's the MITE experiment generating all that science. Oh, I got a radiation scan. I forgot that thing's still working. So we're going straight to sunrise. And what this means is we're going to be at least temporarily in what's called a halo orbit, where we're going to be in the sun the whole way. It doesn't last forever because as Kerbin goes around the sun, the orbit will shift relative to Kerbin, but it will be good for a while anyway. So, SAS on, that's on, that's on, that's on. Let's do this. And again, we're going to launch towards the south. Let it pick up a little bit of speed first. Knock it over just a little bit. Lock that onto prograde. Just kind of let this ride up. I think it's a little bit Going a little bit too far to the west, so we'll knock it back just a little bit. Probably not falling over quick enough either, but this thing's actually a lighter rocket than the last one, and I didn't change the amount of fuel on it, so it honestly should be... what was I trying to say? It should be... it should have more delta V. I didn't even check, to be quite honest, though. I'm just kind of forcing it, trying to pull that prograde vector a little bit back a bit. I'm just a little bit too far west, but I don't want to go so far that the rocket flips out. How's my inclination doing? 70 degrees, not bad. This time I'm going to watch my apoapsis better too. Doesn't help that these are under different tabs. 83 degrees on inclination. 87 degrees on inclination here. I'm going to cut this throttle in a second. Boom. Okay, 77 kilometers there. 89.4 on the inclination. I'm uber happy with that. That's great. I'm very pleased with that. All right, and yeah, let's time warp up. Hang on to those fairings for a little bit. Let's just put that on there. Okay, lose the fairings. We're almost out of the atmosphere. There we go. You know, it's funny with the oh, these aren't clouds. These are like the city lights. They kind of look kind of funny. Towns and cities and stuff. Never knew this continent was so populated. Okay, where are we at? Oh, we're getting pretty close. We're in space now, so let's get ready. Put this down on the horizon. We still have to push up that periapsis a healthy degree. Oh, 30 seconds to apoapsis. Let's punch it. Pitch up a little bit. Next rocket. More thrust. More thrust, damn you. Lockdown prograde. Alright, so just up the little pug engine now to finish off this insertion. But I think things are looking pretty good. Start to reduce thrust here. Let that time to apoapsis get closer. Sure is going to be nice to have a biome map. We're definitely going to send one of these to the moon next time. Maybe take that advice and keep the science to separate probes. Okay. Oh, here we go. And just going to finish off. Just waiting for that periapsis to get up to, there it is. There we go. 80 by 77, much better than last time. Again, we'll orient this. I don't know about you, but I always like, I know it's not really up, but I like on the screen everything to be going upwards. So that's for the solar panels. Let's hit 1. And there we go. A little bit of an animation as that thing opens up. And we should be now collecting multispectral analyzer data. And collecting science and transmitting said science away. Awesome, let's get into the automation a little bit. Because what I want to do is when... Oh, I'm hitting action groups. What am I doing? No, that's right. Atmo landed, drive empty. Just want to find, there's a shadow. There we go. When I'm in the shadow, I want to turn the SCANsat Mr. Machine off. I want to keep the antenna on. I'm hoping we can transmit stuff away still. And then when we're in the sunlight, we're going to turn it back on again. So hopefully, oh, in the shadow, we're turning it off. There we go. And in the sunlight, we're turning the SCANsat back on again. So hopefully that will take care of the fact that this thing doesn't work at night. But for the first little while, just to show people, I should be in the sunlight the whole way around. See, this is what we call a halo orbit. And I did this because I launched at sunrise. You'll get the same effect if you launch at sunset. And as we go round and round and round, we're never going, we're just basically, if we really zoom out here, now if we go, see this from map view, if you look at our orbit's right along the terminator between the night and the light side of Kerbin. So we're just always in the sunshine. So that will help facilitate the early going of this. Unfortunately, it won't stay this way. I guess I could come up here and keep tweaking the orbit, but I just don't want to. SCANsat halted? Did it turn it off? I don't know what you're doing. I'll leave you to your own devices. And again, let's take a look at the map. It's not going to be much, but it's producing it very slowly. There's our altimetry map that's being produced by MapSat1. And if we go to map type and hit biome, there is our biome map slowly being generated by this one here. And you can see if you hover over, it tells you what biomes they are. Down there, this is like deserts, and over here there's some grasslands, and then the purple there is some tundra. So really, really super handy to get those biome maps. I love me my SCANsat. But you know what? I think with the success of this one, I think I'm going to call this stream done. I was hoping to get to the moon this episode, but I think I just spent too much time fiddling around with SCANsat. We'll send a couple of these towards the moon, get some mapping of the moon done. We got contracts to do impactors with the moon. I want to do orbits of the moon, and eventually I want to land on the moon, but all of that is going to have to be, for at least some of that will be happening next week. No promises. But in the meantime, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the stream, and we'll see you all next week.